Oh, hello. Would you like to hear something scary? Duskmourn Play Booster boxes are selling for $130 to $140 each. This may be the new normal pricing for Play Booster boxes. Scary. But not really that scary, because if you play Commander, you only need one copy of each card you're interested in adding to your deck, which is probably only a handful of cards from each new set. Instead of buying booster packs to rip open and hope for the best, just buy the singles that you want for the decks you want to play. It's a no-brainer. Oh, but which of the cards from Duskmourn are best for the 99 of your Commander decks? Well, in this video, we've selected the best cards not to be played as Commanders, but rather to go inside of the 99 of your Commander decks. As such, any legendaries we mention are strictly for the purposes of being part of the 99. Now, if you do want to see us build a Commander deck around our favorite new legendary creature from Duskmourn, you can check out our Creepy Balloon Man deck tech here. Ooh. Creepy. It's a good deck tech, though. You should give it a watch. And if your local game store doesn't have the singles you are looking for, you can always check out Card Kingdom, sponsor of this channel, via our affiliate link at www.cardkingdom.com/TCC. Card Kingdom has a huge selection of Magic the Gathering singles, as well as booster packs and boxes, which of course you would only be buying to draft from, right? As well as some of my favorite accessories for your Magic the Gathering needs. So if your local game store doesn't have what you are looking for, take a look at the great deals over at Card Kingdom. And again, when you browse their catalog via www.cardkingdom.com/TCC, you'll be helping the channel out when you do. Now, on to our feature presentation. For our honorable mention, we have an entire cycle of cards. The Enduring Glimmer cycle. These are enchantment creatures that cost 3 or 4 mana. When they die, they return to the battlefield as non-creature enchantments. All of these glimmers are redundant with other cards already legal in Commander that do the same thing. But because these cards have that self-reanimate clause and come back as permanents that are harder to kill the second time around, these are strict upgrades on virtually all the previous iterations. For instance, the black variant, Enduring Tenacity, is a 4-mana version of Sanguine Bond. That is going to be a highly impactful card for any deck that wants as much redundancy for that effect as possible. In a similar vein, Enduring Curiosity is the same mana cost as cards with virtually identical effects like Bident of Thassa and Reconnaissance Mission, but has the benefit of Flash so that you can surprise your opponents with it after they declare no blocks. Enduring Innocence is a life-linking variant on Welcoming Vampire and other similar effects, drawing you a card once per turn when a creature with power 2 or less enters. Enduring Vitality is like Cryptolith Rites, giving all your creatures the ability to tap for 1 mana of any color. Though I believe all 5 of these will see some Commander play, the weakest of the cycle is unfortunately in the color red, a dog glimmer that buffs your other creatures when they enter and grants them haste for a turn. While I know red loves its haste granters, and I'm sure some decks will make room for this very good boy, it is, in my evaluation, the weakest of the 5, but still worthy of being included in the honorable mention cycle. Coming in at number 5 of our best new cards for the 99 of your Commander deck, we have Abhorrent Oculus, a 3-mana 5/5 flying eye. Wait a minute, it's not an eye horror, it's just an eye? All right, I mean eye. So if you find this massive thing looming over you, don't be horrified. It's probably just curious about what you're up to. Joking aside, a 3-mana 5/5 flyer is simply too good to be true, even in today's era of creature design. So what's the drawback here? Well, you have to exile 6 cards from your graveyard in order to cast it. That's actually a lot to ask for, but trust me, it's worth it. See, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you manifest Dread. That means look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them face down onto the battlefield as a 2/2 creature, and the other into your graveyard. The face down creature can be turned face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. If this is your first time reading this card, you might have missed an important word in that ability. Each. This thing triggers in each one of your opponent's upkeeps. By the time you untap the turn after casting abhorent Oculus, you'll not only have a 5/5 flyer, you also have 3 2/2 creatures face down that can be turned face up if they're creatures on their front side, while also filling your graveyard for any potential graveyard shenanigans. And that's just one turn cycle. Abhorrent Oculus might be annoying to get into play, especially if you're playing a more budget deck without fetch lands to exile to its ability, but once it is in play, it gets out of hand very, very quickly. And honestly, because Commander is a 99 card singleton format, the drawback might not even be that big of a deal. You might just draw it on a later turn when the natural progression of the game has naturally put plenty of cards into your yard to exile to its cost. The only real downside to this card is that it gets better the more graveyard synergies you have going on, since that nets you more value out of each Manifest Dread. But if you have more graveyard synergies in your deck, that also means you likely don't want to go exiling cards from your graveyard. So ironically, the decks that would enable this creature the fastest, graveyard strategy decks, are the ones you're probably least likely to want to run it in. Alright, next up is a card that takes one of the most powerful spells in Magic history and lets you do it every single turn? What? Cynical Loner is a 2-mana 3/1 human survivor that can't be blocked by glimmers, for whatever that's worth. Watch out, Glimmer-typal commander players. More importantly than that ability, she has the survival keyword. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Cynical Loner is tapped, you may search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. If that ability looks familiar, that's because it's just Entomb. Regardless of how you achieve survival, a repeatable Entomb on a stick is a game changer for any graveyard-centric strategy. And unlike a certain eye we just talked about, this is absolutely going in those graveyard decks. It's a huge deal. Imagine a Muldrotha deck with Cynical Loner and Enduring Vitality in play. Every turn you tap the Loner for mana, then tutor up a fresh permanent to your graveyard for Muldrotha to cast. Cynical Loner can also help set up graveyard-based combos, such as tutoring up a Gravecrawler for the Warren Soul Trader combo, or just going to grab recursive threats, such as tutoring up a Bloodghast. Heck, she can go get you instants and sorceries to flash back with Kess Dissident Mage. Cynical Loner should be an auto-include in any black-based graveyard-centric strategies. I'd even go so far as to say the only reason you wouldn't want her in your graveyard deck is because she's too powerful for your local meta game. Is playing a card called Cynical Loner in a social multiplayer format an absolute flavor fail? Well, probably, but that won't stop her from binning anything your heart could possibly desire, turn after turn after turn, so worth it. Number 3 on this list asks the bold question, what if Crucible of Worlds came with a Yawgmoth's Will attached? The answer is Walk in the Closet, Forgotten Cellar, a green room enchantment split card. The Walk in the Closet half costs 2 generic and a green mana for an effect that we've seen many times at this point in Commander's history. You may play land cards out of your graveyard, always strong no matter what else a card has going on. The other half of the card costs 5 mana, which is a lot given what the card says. When you unlock this door, you may cast spells from your graveyard this turn, and if a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile it instead. That's essentially the text box on the card Yawgmoth's Will, but with a notable drawback. It costs 5 mana instead of 3. That means it's less likely you're going to be able to cast that many spells once you've spent the mana to unlock this room. But maybe not that much less likely. After all, if you put this card in your deck, you're probably a green lands deck, meaning you'll surely have plenty of spare mana floating about. Walk in Closet, Forgotten Cellar joins the seemingly ever-growing list of Crucible of Worlds variants that we'll see play in Commander. I mean, this is essentially a strict upgrade on the actual card Crucible of Worlds. In fact, I would immediately put this in the same tier as Ancient Green Warden for top 2 Crucible variants in Magic the Gathering. The only thing that makes this lose points against Ramunap Excavator is not being tutorable off Green Sun Zenith or any other green creature tutor. But once the card is in play, it's better than Ramunap Excavator by nearly every other metric. Remember when Crucible of Worlds was an entirely unique effect? Tolarian Community College remembers. But coming up next, the number 2 card on this list is also the number 2 card in its franchise. I'm speaking, of course, of Meat Hook Massacre, the sequel. It happened again? Bigger, badder and bolder than its predecessor, Meathook Massacre costs double X and quadruple black for what else but a legendary enchantment. When it enters, each player sacrifices X creatures. Whenever a creature you control dies, you may pay 3 life. If you do, return it to play under your control with a finality counter on it. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, they may choose to pay 3 life. If not, hey, stop me if you've heard this one before, return that creature to play under your control with a finality counter on it. Honestly, you're probably going to play this card for X equaling 0 a lot of the time. The ability it has in play is just great, even if you aren't making everyone sacrifice a creature right off the bat. Getting a second bite at the apple whenever any of your own creatures die is nice on its own. Remember what I said about the strength of the enduring cycle. But the other half of Meathook Massacre 2 is great too. As well. That 3 life they lose for each of their creatures that die will add up quick, especially if you have a blood artist in play. It won't be long before they have no choice but to let you steal their creatures when they die, even if they would like to be able to pay the 3 life. Meathook Massacre 2 is fantastic alongside Damnation or other sweepers. It's great for providing removal insurance for your most important threats, or giving you a second instance of your sacrifice fodder. And hey, it also adds 4 black devotion for all you sick Nykthos and Gary, Merchant of Asphodel fans out there. Now, it's a good idea to try and ensure you pair Meathook Massacre 2 with some ways to gain life, so that you can reliably pay the 3 life you need for its ability as often as possible. Wait a minute, we need a way to gain life? Well, how about Meathook Massacre 1? Ho, now we're cooking. Now that is cinema. Wow, whoever said the sequel is always worse than the original clearly never heard of the Meathook Massacre franchise. In my opinion, it just keeps getting better and better. I can't wait to see what's next in this shared cinematic universe. But what is the #1 card from the 99 for your commander deck? Well, it's actually a legendary, but I don't think you should run it as commander. I think you should run it inside the deck. What card am I talking about? Well, our #1 card for use in the 99 of your commander deck is a legendary, but we're talking strictly for use in the 99, and it's Marvin, Murderous Mimic. Marvin is a 2/2 legendary artifact creature toy for 2 generic mana. What does Marvin do? Well, whatever the rest of your creatures do. Marvin has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. Talk about anything you can do, I can do better. Get used to seeing this puppet's evil grin, because you're going to see quite a lot of him in the years and games to come. With Palladium Myrrh and Pillapalla in play, you can use the tap ability provided by the Myrrh to pay for the untap ability provided by Pillapalla to generate infinite mana of any color, or get Marvin in play alongside Devoted Druid and an Incubation Druid. Start off by adapting Marvin, then tap it for 3 mana. Use its Devoted Druid ability to untap it, removing a +1/+1 counter from it. Tap it for 3 again. Keep doing this till it has no more counters. You've now generated 9 mana. Use 5 of that mana to adapt Marvin again. You can now tap him for mana and untap him again 3 more times. What's that there? You've demonstrated a loop, generating infinite mana of any color a land you control could produce. We did it, gang! We broke Devoted Druid in a combo. Whoever thought we could enable a broken combo with Devoted Druid? But Marvin pairs with other classics as well, such as Grinning Ingus, which will allow you to get infinite enters triggers if you have Marvin in play alongside it. Return Marvin to your hand for a red mana, then replay it for 2 of the colorless the Ingus ability creates. Use the remaining red to pay for the ability again, and you're off to the races. On its own, this accomplishes about as much as tapping and untapping a Basalt Monolith an infinite number of times. But if you have, say, an Impact Tremors in play, or Cathar's Crusade, or even just a Grape Shot in hand to benefit from the Infinite Storm, you have yourself a highly compact way to win the game on the spot. Even when you're not comboing, Marvin packs a lot of value in a small container. Getting a second use out of any of your activated abilities is awesome, especially if you have a commander with an important activated ability, such as the Jolly Balloon Man, who we featured in our own Build Your Own Commander Precon deck tech, a video that's posted and you can watch here. Look at that, we've got a bridge! But those are, of course, just our picks for the 99 of your Commander decks, and now I want to hear from you. What cards from Duskmourn are you most looking forward to? Are there any Commanders you want to build a deck around the way we built a deck around the creepy balloon man? Let me know in the comments below. And remember that whether you are wisely buying singles or perhaps booster packs for the purposes of draft, if your local game store does not have what you're looking for, you can always check out the amazing selection of Magic the Gathering cards, products, and accessories over at Card Kingdom. Just use my affiliate link via www.cardkingdom.com/TCC and you'll be helping the channel out. And you can browse my own landing page where I've assembled deals on Commander decks and also gathered some of my favorite Magic accessories. Cool, I'm gonna go browse there now. Once again, that's www.cardkingdom.com/TCC. Thank you, Card Kingdom, for sponsoring not this video, but this channel for damn near 10 years now. Wow.
Ooh, next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, I don't know what's going to happen today because Wubby wouldn't tell me.
We will be opening a sealed beta booster pack.
Sorry, I had to touch it. I just wanted to touch it.
Unsearched, so this could have a Lotus.
Whoa.
For the winner?
For me.
Slayer! Stronghold. Slay!
It's the boomer screaming slave for me.
Stop calling me a boomer.
Block your Ocelot pride.
Why are you tapping to block? Actually, can we see that again in slow motion?
By the way, Prof, you missed your mana crypt trigger.
By the way, go to hell. Lua, that was very dank of you.
Dank and slay the house down.
Now you sound like a parent. You're aging.
I'm getting
You're
there.
getting older
Yeah,
and
I'm
more
getting there.
cringe. And not the good kind of cringe like Wubby.
What the hell? What a drive-by!